Well, hey everyone, welcome to Lawn Theory. I'm super excited for you to join us on episode 3 with one of my favorite friends that I've gotten to know this year, Maury Williams with Ranger Will's Lawn and Landscaping. Maury, thank you so much for being our third guest. I'm going to let you kind of introduce yourself, tell your story, which is fascinating. Everything from where you were born, military, law enforcement, and then the lawn and landscape industry. So, Maury, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, look, it's good to be here. Good to be here. Uh, uh, just like uh, just like you said, my name is Maury Williams. Yeah, I'm from Harvey, Louisiana, which is uh, generally I tell people I'm from New Orleans, but originally from Harvey, Louisiana, which is about 15 minutes away from New Orleans. And I say that because most people do know where New Orleans is at. So anyway, I was born back in 1963, so I just gave you my age, and you know, born and raised, I love it. And I graduated high school 1981. And just a quick piece. Um, I used to cut the neighbor's yard. A couple of neighbors next to my parents where I grew up, it's kind of how I started, you know, being passionate about enjoying lawn service as a little boy, as a kid. So moving furthermore, I graduated high school in 1981. In 1982, I joined the military. I joined the United States Army in October 1982, where I served my first 4 years at Fort Ord, California. So go figure, you have a kid born and raised in a little small place of Harvey, Louisiana, and my joined the military. Always wanted to go to California because I used to be a bodybuilder, and so therefore I enlisted to go to California. So I spent my first 4 years out in Monterey, California, at Fort Ord, and then after that I reenlisted from Fort Ord to join the 101st Airborne Division, Air Assault, here at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, where I'm currently located. So I spent my first 6 years as an infantryman in the United States Army. And once I finished that time in the infantry, I would see all the special forces units that had relocated from Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and they relocated to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And I used to see those guys all the time with that green beret, and
Mm-hmm.
I knew that that was something I wanted to do, was be a green beret. And so after my first 6 years in the infantry, uh, I put in a packet to go to join the special forces, where I attended the special forces assessment and selection course. That was 3 weeks at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Once I got selected, I returned back to Fort Campbell, where what they call PCS, permanent change of
Mm-hmm.
station. I PCS from Fort Campbell, my wife and I, and so we moved to Fort Bragg from from October uh, to May, where I attended this Special Forces qualification course. That course was 6 months, and then after finished the Special Forces qualification course, I attended language school. Once I finished the Special Forces qualification course and became a Green Beret, I returned to my first duty station as a Green Beret, as a Special Forces soldier, where I was assigned to the 5th Special Forces Group, where I'm currently based out of Fort Campbell.
Gotcha.
During my,
So when we go back a little bit though, when you graduated high school, you were a bodybuilder and you always wanted to go to California. What motivated you to want to join the military in the first place?
well, great question. I'm just I'm just gonna put it out there. My wife and I at that time, we had met as third graders in
Wow.
school as kids. And so her family moved to a different location. Um, so we didn't get back together again until we got in high school as seniors in high school. And so, we started dating again in high school. I graduated uh, May of 81, excuse me, 1981. So she still had a year left. And so, you know, we was what we thought was in love as kids, basically, as kids. And I knew and she knew the only way we could be together, well, if we um, got married. So,
Yep.
I was tired of school, tired of going to school. So when I graduated high school, we talked about it. So I reenlisted, correction. So I enlisted in the army, and I knew, in the army you can, once you got married, you would get paid that VAQ, for a spouse, and in the military would basically, uh, for married people, help take care of service members and their family members as well. So that's why, that's another reason why I joined the military, because
That's awesome.
we wanted to be married. We didn't want to be separated. We wanted to be together. And as young kids, that was the avenue and the pathway to do that.
And so that's fascinating. So I want to talk about that's probably you have a lot of achievements, but so how long have you been with your wife?
Oh God, September we got married September 1982. This September is going to be 42 years.
Holy smokes! Congratulations. That's huge.
Thank you, thank you. It's going to be 42 years, and like I was saying earlier, when I was stationed out at Fort Orden, California, we had our first and only child. We had a son, Murray. He just turned 40 this past May. Our son, he's 40. Yep.
Oh man, that's amazing. So and I don't think people understand that 40 years of marriage is huge, but 40 years of marriage with the amount of time you spent in the military and law enforcement is a
Yes.
massive accomplishment. That you don't hear that. It's very rare. So that's a
Yeah.
huge testament to who you are and who you are as a husband to your wife. So, um, well, you probably get to ask this a lot. What's the secret?
You
What
know.
40 years? I get 10 in September.
Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
what's the secret?
well, Steven, I'll be honest, man. I don't really look at it. I know that that term secret is used a lot when we talk about marriage. If I had to pinpoint a word or several words, I would like to use compromise, because early on in the marriage, we were 18 and 18 and 19 years old and married. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know anything about love. We thought we did, but having grown and been in a marriage as long as we have, both of us has learned to compromise, and compromise is the biggest thing in a marriage. You have two different people with two separate ways of thinking, and no one person is going to have it their way. So you learn to be able to compromise with your partner and make things work. And we at a stage now, we can get upset or have a verbal argument or fight about something, but we know neither one of us are going anywhere.
Yep.
We've been together. We've been together all these years, and so she know me, I know her. We know what pushes each other's buttons.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So in church a week or two ago, it was along the same line. I was talking of you work together. It's a commitment,
Yeah.
and you remove quit from your vocabulary. There's no quit in the commitment you made, and so I love that, and it's a huge testament to. Well, it's not a huge testament. It's a huge testament, but it's also for people in this industry. I think it's going to speak volumes because it's a high stress environment, as you know.
Yes.
But we'll get into that later. So we'll fast forward again. That got you interested in the Army. You went through selection and you passed, and now you
Yes.
went back to Kentucky, correct?
Yes, I returned back to the 5th Special Forces Group, where I started off serving as a weapons sergeant on the A team, on the Special Forces A team. I did that on a number of years of serving as a Special Forces weapons sergeant on the A team, to where I continued on. I served as a drill sergeant for 2 years. During that time in my Special Forces, I served as a drill sergeant at Fort Benning, Georgia, for 2 years. Then I returned back to Special Forces, where I continued on, was promoted uh, where I served as which is a dream on the special forces team, is to be what's called the senior sergeant or the team sergeant. That's an E8, a master sergeant that's serving on an 18. That's kind of like the dream thing to do within a special forces community. So I was able to do that uh, for 2 years. I had all the career progression assignments within special forces, where I served from a weapons sergeant to an intelligence sergeant on an A team to a team sergeant, continued on as a first sergeant within a special forces battalion, and then finally uh, we moved in PCS to Georgia, to Fort McPherson, Georgia, where I was selected for the Sergeant's Major Academy. Attended the Sergeant's Major Academy in Fort Bliss, Texas, and then returned back to 5th Special Forces Group, where I served as a Sergeant Major here in Special Forces. And I will say, I was fortunate enough to serve in multiple combat tours with the 5th Special Force, well, with Special Forces. And so I have a lot to be thankful for. Trust me.
Yep. And I know we've talked a little bit of it offline, and you've been to several major areas of conflict in multiple different regions, and so that's a huge one. A lot of Americans today, they don't understand a lot what that means, but which is huge that you've come back and you're as strong as you are, and you're doing and you're pursuing your passion like you are now in the lawn landscape industry. So thank you for that and everything you did through that. So you accumulated all these accomplishments through Special Forces. Looking back at it, what is what gives you the most sense of pride or accomplishment? The thing that you did through that, that if you look back on it, you could find a moment that, hey, this is the cherry on top for me in this community.
Stephen, it's kind of hard to pinpoint one thing because I've had a great career. I have had an absolute great, for starters, military career, where I served 23 years, 10 months, right at 24 years. I achieved the ranks from private when I first enlisted, all the way up to the ranks of sergeant major. One of my biggest accomplishments was winning the leadership award in Ranger School, because because not only was I able to attend numerous military schools throughout my career, all the way up to the Sergeant Major Academy, but while serving in the Special Forces, I attended Ranger School, and within Ranger School, there's an average of 200 students or Ranger cadets that attend the school, but they may only graduate, 75 or 100, if that. Mm-hmm. And to achieve the leadership award within Ranger School, that's 8 to 9 weeks. One meal a day back then, to 2 MREs a day, meals ready to eat. That's one of the biggest accomplishments that I'll always remember. And if you notice, I named my business as part of it Ranger, because that Ranger mentality is never quit. It's a never quit, don't quit type of attitude, that you develop about yourself, that no matter what it is, you'll be able to achieve it. And so, not to mention, the multiple tours in combat that I was able to serve the country, and hear the national anthem played as we returned, and see that American flag, about proud to be an American. So there's numerous things. I don't want to get emotional here, but there's numerous things that I've had that I, just like I said a minute ago, within my career in the military, accomplishments, not to mention being married to my wife that has supported all of my deployments. She practically raised our son 3 throughout my constant deployments in special forces. So she really, that's why even right now, I can't credit my wife enough for the amount of support that she gave me and gave our family. And the benefit to all that is, Stephen, we have a son that's 40 years old. He was able to see his dad and his mom, all his life. And, our son is a civil engineer. He's successful in his own right. He's been married now, 14 or 15 years to his college sweetheart. They met in college and they got married 2 years after they graduated. Like I say, we proud of him. He's a civil engineer, and we have two grandkids, an 11-year-old granddaughter and an 8-year-old grandson. So, man, I'm here to tell you, man, I've been very blessed, throughout my career in the military. And once I retired from the military in July '06, then I continued on and, I want to pursue a law enforcement career where
Yeah. And before we launch into the law enforcement career, I just want to do a pause real quick, specifically for the audience, because I don't think that they can grasp the accomplishments you had. So for those that are watching, why don't you just Google what he just told you when it came specifically to the achievement he had in Ranger School, and then you got as an
I was
what?
I was an E6.
E6 when you got out, which is in that community is.
When I went to Ranger School, E6. But
Gotcha.
when I retired, I was an E9 as a sergeant major.
Yep. So just Google that, and then specifically look at the community and how hard that is to achieve, let alone be able to stay in for that long. So that is a huge accomplishment and a huge achievement that you've had on your part. And then add in the marriage, add in all the blessings that you've had through that. That's huge. And it's something that not a lot of people can say that they've achieved. So that's amazing. So
Thank you.
So all right. So now you're getting out. You retired. Actually, before we do that, I want to tell you one story you had mentioned, and it brought back a memory that I'd forgot about. So this is 2011, probably one of the proudest moments that I've ever had to be an American was we were flying back from Afghanistan. So we had just done our rotation there, flying back, and we went, where did we go? We went from Afghanistan to Manus, from Manus to Germany, from Germany to Maine. And we were in Maine and we're landing. And I don't know if they did this for you, but the Vietnam veterans lined the runway.
Wow.
And had American flags, and there was a fire truck that was making an arch. And as soon as we got out, they lined the kind of the gangway, and just welcomed us home in a way that I can't even describe articulately. Because they didn't want folks coming back to be treated like they were. But
Sure.
they were the only ones, and they were there. They lined the runway, they lined everything, and it was one of the most impactful moments of my life, and something I'll never forget. Well, technically, I did forget it until you said that, but it just a flood of emotions came back. So to your point, yeah, that's amazing, and a great memory to share with folks. But so now you've completed your military career, you're retiring, and now you're going into law enforcement.
Yes. In fact, when I retired, I think the easiest thing when I was retiring from the military, first of all, I was trying to figure out, what do I want to do? What am I interested in? What can I do? So, serving in the military and special forces all them years and dealing with weapons, and I just felt like I would be more comfortable going into law enforcement. And so I put in several applications locally for different police departments, a couple of sheriff departments, and it was approved for all of them. But what drew me was the Highway Patrol. And the reason I was drawn to the Highway Patrol is because their uniforms, their discipline, and all of those sorts of things align closer with me along with the military. So when I look at, there's no discredit to local city police, county sheriff deputies. I'm not throwing shade on nobody.
Unless it's a softball game, then they suck.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But I'll tell you, Stephen, when I looked at that state trooper uniform and that hat that I wore
Mm-hmm.
as a drill sergeant, that campaign hat, the uniform, the discipline, the respect that they demonstrated, the way they carried themselves, I turned down all of those city and county sheriff um, approvals that I received to pursue a career as a state trooper, of which I was in the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and I did that for 14 years, and went to the basic course that was 22 weeks in Nashville, Tennessee, where I graduated from that, and I was assigned to one of the local counties, Robertson County, as a road trooper. I was promoted to sergeant while serving in the same county, from trooper to sergeant in Robertson County within the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And due to my experience and my work ethic, and I was asked to come down to training, of which I agreed. After after several months, of maybe a year or two of being asked, I agreed. Finally, I agreed while serving as a road sergeant, and I agreed to go down to the training division, where I served as an instructor initially with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, from a road trooper to a road sergeant within a county, Robertson County, moving down to the training division, where I was responsible and helped assist train all the troopers in the state of Tennessee. And so I attended, numerous training courses during that time, as a DUI instructor, stops instructor, defensive tactics instructor, physical fitness instructor, the works. And so I was promoted to lieutenant within the training division, where I was a firearms instructor. And so I just had a great career within the Highway Patrol also. And right when it was getting close to, 13 and a half, 14 years close, I was getting to that point. So that's, if you combine the two, that's over 38 plus years
Mm-hmm.
of
Of service.
wear and tear on this body. So
Mm-hmm.
within the military career and my career with the Highway Patrol, this body was starting to wear. And so I just figured it's my time to go on and transition out, of which I did. And had a great career with the Highway Patrol. I love it. And it was time for me to transition out and do something, to pick up something that at this point that I enjoy doing. And I enjoy more flexibility and more oversight over my own schedule. And so, again, as I transitioned from the Highway Patrol into retiring from the Highway Patrol, in fact, even before I got into law enforcement and I was retiring from the Highway Patrol, I went back to school, where I finished my degree. I went back to school 2 years with the University of Arizona Global Campus, where I finished up and earned my degree in Bachelor of Arts in Business Leadership. And so, and I'm proud to say, Stephen, when I earned my degree, all throughout my last 2 years, I had a 3.93 GPA. So I held it steady throughout my whole time when I was in school. Because, you have to understand, when I'm doing things and the way I was raised, I don't care what it is you're doing, you do your best.
Yep.
And so, I've been able to succeed and by doing my best at everything I tried to do.
All right. So, like you were saying with your education, when you graduated high school, how you were just done. I was very similar. So when I graduated, actually, I did the early enlistment program. So technically, I signed all my paperwork when I was a junior, and then 2 weeks after I graduated, I actually left
Oh, wow.
for boot camp. Yeah, so 2 weeks after, so I was just straight in. And one of the things that I noticed is once I got in and I was actively in the military and I started attending online classes, and even after when I graduated, I did so much better than I did when I was in high school because I had
Yes.
the discipline and I had the drive to do my best and like, hey, I'm
Yes.
showing up and do my best. So to your point with your GPA and everything, I think sometimes, especially in this industry, um, a lot of them are coming straight from high school into it, or maybe they're coming from another career field. But if you just focus on doing your best and apply yourself, it can completely unlock you and your business's potential. So I love that. So you graduated college. What kind of got you into the lawn and landscape industry? Was other folks in it doing
Yes.
landscape work when you were working?
Yes. In fact, there was several guys. I knew when I retired from the Highway Patrol that I wanted to get into lawn service. I knew it. Because I knew it was something I would have some flexibility on, some oversight with my own business, and so I just started reaching out to some of the local guys and just asking them questions about the business, you know, how they run their business, and how they gain clients and so forth and so on, and that's how I kind of got into it. And I remember when I was a little boy cutting the neighbor's yard. When I was cutting a couple yards as a kid, saving my money and then buying a pair of Converse tennis shoes. I mean, that was everything to me as a little boy. And so I knew I wanted to go into lawn service, lawn care. And so I started buying some equipment. I purchased me a couple of trimmers, a couple of mowers. Then I just started, you know, working on building some customers. And initially, it was kind of slow getting started. And once I got started, then it started picking up. And so that's what.
There you go. So for our audience, they're going to want to know, what equipment did you start with and what equipment are you running now?
Well, I tell you what, I'll just tell you exactly what I'm running. The first mower that I brought a 52-inch Wright Standard ZK. That
Yep.
ZK, that's Wright Standard ZK. I use that more than any other mower because it can service most properties, and specifically if I have any uh, rolling hills, any challenging properties, that Wright Standard ZK, um, it'll be able to. It can tackle any tough jobs in most of those one-time jobs. But I also have a Toro 60-inch 4000 Pro. I have a Toro 30-inch self-propel, as well as a Wright standard intensity, a 36-inch standard intensity, and so I've got them all covered. And
Yep.
yep, and I've got 5 trimmers, 3 blowers, uh, trimmers, uh, several Echo, Red Max, Steel, blowers, Steel, Red Max, Echo. So, in my opinion, they're all good. They all,
Yep.
all these products these days, whether it's mowers, trimmers, blowers, in my usage, I found, all of them have some things they do better in some areas than others. So, that's from my experience.
Yep. Have you met Ed Wright yet?
Yes, I did. In fact,
Yep.
and I'm glad you asked that question, Stephen. Um, June 2021, our son living on the East Coast in Alexandria, Virginia, with his family, and so we were visiting our son, and I always wanted to visit the Wright warehouse, and just to see where my first mower came from, which is the Wright Standard ZK. So I drove up about 2 hours. I think it was about 2 hours. Drove up from Alexandria up to Frederick, Maryland. And the great thing about Ed Wright, unlike some other places you go to, I went up to the front desk in the warehouse, to the Wright warehouse. Ed Wright came out and he gave me a personal tour of the whole facility himself. He gave me a personal tour of the whole facility that lasted, well over an hour. And so that alone really told me a lot about Ed Wright. And so, after buying the ZK, I already knew I was going to get a smaller motor getting those back gates. And so, I almost felt compelled at that point. Well, that's why I went back and got a Wright standard intensity, a 36-inch commercial. And so they're easy to use. They're built like a tank, and easy to work on. So I'm a big proponent of Ed Wright.
Yep. Yeah, and I think in this industry too, one thing that we focus on as well is like how can we be intentional in not only speaking with but getting to know our customers, and that translates also in the lawn landscape industry. Is are you out there talking to your customers? Are you letting someone else do it?
Exactly.
And so it speaks volumes on his behalf. Which Wright is it's a phenomenal company. So so you started your lawn care company, you started building it, and you started getting busier. Kind of where are you at today? Why don't you let the users know you had that incredible journey? What are you working on today?
This is actually my 4th year. First, it started off, pretty slow. What I would categorize as slow. But right now, I really have to manage myself now, because I do self-management, because it's easy, and I like to think that when you do good work, customers will call, and that's what has happened, because now within my own company, I've got several of my customers, they recommend their daughters, recommend their sons, and then start doing the son or daughter. You do the mother, they recommend their friend. And so this thing has taken a leg of its own. And I don't do any marketing. Honestly, I don't really need to do any marketing, because the business with word of mouth, my customers, it's been taken off. And I also think in the lawn landscaping business, what's very important is having a relationship with your customers. I've noticed, most of my customers are gone when I go to service their properties. But then every now and then there are some at home, and some, when they see you come out and you're servicing their property, they want to come out and talk. Well, I think it's important, when a customer want to come out and say hi to you, to take a few minutes, turn the mower off, turn the equipment off, and just chat with them a bit, and see what makes them tick. And I think that's relationships is important. And and just like I said a minute ago, when you do good work, those same customers, and some of them I'm thinking about right now, they've already recommended me. I do the mother, I do the sister, and a few other friends. And so relationship building.
Yep. We always say that the best marketing and the best salesperson are happy customers.
Yes.
Because if people like you and they like what you stand for and they like what your product is, you'll be able to grow exponentially,
Yes.
because they're referring people authentically. I think a lot of people get wrapped up into they want to hit the easy button. They don't want to put the work in. They want to buy their way into an industry or a customer base, but you have to put the work in. You have to talk to your customers, and you have to provide high quality service. Otherwise, they're going to find another solution. And you'll see a lot. People will love to leave bad feedback. That's if you look at reviews, but people also love recommending, and they also love standing up and promoting a company. If you're doing the right thing, you're being a good person and you're providing a great service.
Stephen, you bring up an excellent point here. because um, you heard me mention a minute ago. Early on when I started, it was hard because I didn't really understand the business. But I don't do any marketing. I really don't have to because I've got enough customers, and the customers that I do have, they still recommending based off their own service. And what I've also noticed here, like you mentioned a minute ago, you know, there's a Nextdoor app that's nationwide, but the Nextdoor app that I follow locally here, that's social media, Nextdoor. To your point, people ask or request services based off of others that have had that service and whatever company that they've used, uh, relative or as opposed to calling a company, because people are more comfortable with reading about reading reviews that experiences that others have already had. And you see the same thing in lawn service. You look at that Nextdoor app, you see people all the time, and every now and then, you'll see somebody speak bad about a lawn service company that they felt, wasn't a good quality company. So, I'm always mindful, even customers that I've had, when I first started, every time you service a property, you always want to put your best foot forward because you don't want to start. It's easy to start slipping, especially when you have a pretty well established customer base.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys use this in the Army, but in the Marine Corps, and it was more colorful language, but it was one oh crap will ruin 100 attaboys.
Yes.
So one mistake, one time where you slip up, it's gonna, like to your point on Nextdoor, they're gonna love to leave good feedback if you're doing good work. But
Yes.
that one negative feedback is a slippery slope.
And that's right. That's exactly because I've seen it. So far I haven't had it happen to me, and I hope I keep it that way. But these customers out here, they read reviews. They read reviews. In fact, I don't know if you want to get into it now, but that's kind of how, I became a member of Lawn Buddy because, I started looking for a service. When I first started with Google Sheets. I use a spreadsheet along with the calendar when I first started to run my business because it was something easy to use and I could grab it right then. But um, as I started building my customers and started getting, busier, I started looking at software. So I started visiting YouTube, and I'm sure some of the people that's viewing right now, and I'm sure you're aware of it. I started looking at YouTube as some of the lawn service providers that's out there on YouTube. For example, Brian's Lawn Maintenance, that's up in Michigan. You got Johnny Blades of Grass, that's in Georgia. You got several of these guys that I've been following for a number. You got Spencer, several of that I've been following for a number of years, looking what types of equipment they use, what types of software they use. And so I started exploring and looking at those same videos. So I started looking at Lawn Buddy, your company, looking at Yard Book, looking at forget the name of the other. There's start with a Q. I forget the name of it, but I started looking at other um, software applications to be able to run my business and to be more efficient when I'm in the field. Because uh, moving from Google Sheets that I would have to do when I finish my work day, I have to come home and spend another hour working on it. The calendar, who's the next 2 weeks, who's the next 10 days, the scheduling, and whereas I wanted a software application that was easy to use. I could use it. I could set up my database on a computer, but then I can in turn use it in the field. Whereas I can pull up customers, notify customers when I'm on their way. When I'm on their way to service the property, I could pull them up, and now I could figure out the best route to take to the property. And when I finish the job or complete the job, I'm able to hit a button and complete the job. And so Hey, listen, man, I'm willing to get into it because I can tell you about Lawn Buddy and how it's really helped streamline my own business. And so,
Yeah, that's awesome. And so what made you choose Lawn Buddy then? When you
no,
were going through and you're looking through the YouTube, what kind of made you settle on Lawn Buddy?
well, there's a couple of things that made me sell a Lawn Buddy. Initially, I think it was about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I looked into Lawn Buddy. Um, I think I downloaded the uh, the mobile application and I started playing with it initially, but I just kind of backed off from it. Then I started looking at Yard Book, and I think Yard Book, from my perspective, was more than what I was looking for. So I came back to Yard Buddy, correction, to Lawn Buddy, to you all's company, and I forget the guy's name, but I think his name was Wayne. Do you have a
Probably
Wayne?
James.
Yeah, yeah, James.
Hmm.
Back in the spring, I think it was February, March time frame. I think it was the end of February when I was starting to get everything ramped up. My equipment, I was really, really aggressively starting to look at software because I knew this year I wanted to run everything on software. And so uh, I went ahead on and agreed to do the Zoom call where James did like a 30-minute Zoom call with me where he showed me some of the main key items on the dashboard, how to add a customer, um, how to create a job, how to create an estimate, and all those types of things that I do on a day-to-day basis. Excuse me. So that's exactly what I was looking for, and so that's what drew me to Lawn Buddy. Uh, Not to mention the initial price. I'm a solo operator, so as a solo operator, I wasn't looking for some of the other features that somebody running a big company need. And so I was looking for something not basic, but something that was more applicable to how I run my business. And Lawn Buddy um, is really everything that I was looking for. And some of those features, like I mentioned, some of those features include it's easy to create a customer, put all the customer data in there. It's easy to create a job. It's easy to create an estimate and to be able to send customers estimates. And what I've also found about this is when you're using Lawn Buddy software applications like this, you look more professional when running your business. You really create and look more professional when running your business. Not to mention being able to create your own company logo within the homepage, within the page of the software. And if I can, I'll tell you a quick story. I had one of my customers. I was starting to develop um, a slow pay issue with this particular customer, and so in the past, I was send a little friendly text reminder. Hey, friendly reminder, you know, your payment is due for services provided on whatever date. Well, with this particular customer, after I started using Lawn Buddy, I created I created an invoice because they normally pay me a certain way. But I created an invoice, so I sent the invoice to them, and guess what? I received my payment like within the next day. And I firmly believe when they received that invoice that looked official with my company logo on it from Lawn Buddy, I think there was a different reaction um, that they had once they received it. And and I've used Lawn Buddy to send invoices with several customers, and I just think that for my business, Lawn Buddy has really helped streamline how I do my day-to-day operations.
Yeah, for all that, for the scheduling and
For scheduling customers, and more specifically, when I'm out in the field. When I'm out in the field, I love having the ability to to put the route in when I'm to put the route in for the day, as well as completing the job when I'm in the field. Oh, I just absolutely love it. That way, when I get back home for the day, I don't have to worry about it. And then when I set my scheduling up, whether it's a weekly service, every 10-day service, or bi-weekly, I can set my scheduling up, and it's already on my software. I just look at my app on my phone most time now, and then I run most of my operations from my phone, and I don't have to worry about the computer now.
yeah, and I think that hits on a good point because, and I've alluded to it in a couple episodes, but Lawn Buddy was really started out of identifying a problem in the lawn and landscape industry, specifically around payments and communication. And I think that just goes back to my why, and my why Lawn Buddy exists is I've always wanted to serve and help others. Like that's like one consistent thing through my life.
Yes.
Is service and helping others. And with the lawn and landscape industry, that was where it first started, was in the invoicing and communication piece, and we've kind of grown it from there. And we're not the cheapest solution, and we're not the most expensive solution, but a unique take that we've done is that we want to lean in with integrity with everything we do when it comes to our pricing, when it comes to our relationships, and show that we're not going to price gouge you. We're not going to make it seem like you're paying a low amount and then you pay a lot on the back end, but
Yes.
we're also not the cheapest solution in the industry. And so coming forward and showing like, hey, we can help you. We've been there and we have solutions for, like you said, where you were at a couple of years ago of, hey, we need to be more professional. We need to have our logo on the invoices, help us with those people that are slow paying, all the way to people with 30 trucks on the road. But that's really where it started, was helping my next door neighbor, not next door, he lives across the street from me. His name's Chad Butler. He was company number one on the entire platform, and it was helping him to be a little bit more professional and helping have those tools to where you can easily collect payments, you can easily remind people when they're past due, and you can consistently repeat your scheduling, all those different things to where
Yes.
you are just a machine without having to add human capital or anything else into your business.
Well, Stephen, and the good thing that I'm learning, that I've already learned from you and James with Lawn Buddy, what I like about Lawn Buddy also is you listen. You listen to our concerns in the field, and even a small business such as myself, with my concerns, because more and more, I'm learning different features within the software that I benefit, that helps me run my business. And again, I'm using more and more of these tools in the field, which lessens the time on the back end when I get back home. And so I just absolutely love it, and especially like the on the way, that little small feature that you all have included, it really makes my business look professional with my customers. They know when I'm on their way to service their property, and they can expect that. And the scheduling piece, and I also love, when you're giving estimates instead of the old way, just telling them, well, I would, you give them a random number. I like being able to go look at the property if I choose to do so, or I can, pull a property up in the comforts of my own home, measure it out with the estimate tools, and then send them an estimate via text message on a computer, and they can agree to it, of which I've already used that feature, and I've already had business by doing such. So it's really, Lawn Buddy has really aided my business, and I'm still finding features that help me move forward, be more efficient.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate that. And I think as we're kind of wrapping everything up today, I've got a couple questions for you. One is, Well, it's two-pronged. One, we actually have a tremendous amount of veterans that use our software. And then we obviously have everyone that uses our software is a business owner. What advice do you have for business owners that are in this this industry, whether they're veteran or not? What one piece of advice could you leave them with?
With Lawn Buddy, from my experience, with Lawn Buddy, what I would advise or recommend is that you delve into it and get to learn how to use those features to make your business more efficient. Because if you try it and shy away from it, it's going to be just like any other software. But for me and my business, and in any other business owner out there, I would highly recommend that you take some time and to explore some of these tools within the software itself, because just like for me, I really enjoy being able to not only the scheduling piece where I can have my whole schedule laid out as long as I want to lay it out, but also some of those estimate features, because when customers receive a text message or an email in PDF of an estimate, it just looks more professional than 99% of the other guys or businesses out there that's just giving a word of mouth, a verbal. Just look more professional.
Yep. And so for me, as we're going through this podcast, and one thing that stands out to me about yourself is you're determined. And so I think that's another thing people can take from this podcast is the determination and resiliency to continue and to pursue excellence. It's something that resonates through this entire conversation and who you are as a person. So I hope they can glean that information from it. Do you do anything are you still involved with any nonprofits in the military community or anything like that? Or you're focused solely on lawn landscape?
No, focused on lawn landscape. And I do a lot of work with my church, and but I'm mainly focused on my lawn service business.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so as we wrap up, one thing that I like to do, and you're not prepared for this, but do you, and because you have a son and you've been a dad for 40 years, it sounds like.
40 years.
In your 40 years of experience, what is your best dad joke?
My best dad joke. Oh, you hit me with that one, Stephen. My best dad joke. Man, first of all, I'm horrible with jokes. I really am with jokes, and so I hate to disappoint you. I don't have a really bad joke because I'm just not really a.
Hey, I've got plenty of them, so don't worry. I still have a large large catalog of dad jokes. I'll leave you with one then. Why does the chicken coop have 2 doors instead of 4?
I have no idea.
Because then it would be a chicken sedan. So that's what we'll leave everyone with is the chicken sedan joke. And so, Maury, I'd love that you've spent time with us today. I love getting to know you as the man that you are and the business owner that you are. And thank you for coming on and telling your story and hopefully inspiring others to, one, get into the lawn and landscape industry, stay committed and resilient, and always pursue your passion and your dreams.
Everything you said, absolutely. And I'm going to throw this in there, Stephen. Lawn Buddy is in my business. I love using it. And I would highly and strongly encourage you all to do the same. I
very much appreciate that. And I did not tell him to say this, world. He is speaking authentically. So I appreciate you and everything you do for us. And I look forward to our next conversation.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, nice seeing you again, Stephen.
Yep. And then if you leave it open, that tab, it'll upload everything. And then after 2, I'll send you the podcast. You can review it. You can pick those 2 clips, anything you want to clip out that you think you'd like. Look, I did the balloons again.
Yep.
Anything that you like or want to be edited, and then it'll go out on Sunday. So this Sunday is when it'll go out, and I'll send you a YouTube link and everything, and then you can be your own social media influencer. So watch out. Brian's Lawn Care. And with Spencer, is that SB Mowing? Is that who you watch?
No. Spencer Spencer is him and his wife.
Gotcha.
I think they're out of I want to think they're out of I think they're Kansas. I think.
Yeah. So SB Mowing is out of Wichita, Kansas. So his name's Spencer. Great human. Been trying to get him on the podcast for a while, but he's blowing up in social media. So he does all like the overgrown lawns and stuff like that. Does that sound familiar?
Okay, yeah. Because I'm on YouTube all the time looking at these guys. You know, as crazy as this sounds, that's therapeutic for me. Like late in the evening, I'm laying down looking at the videos and seeing what others are doing out there, and it's all good.
Yep. Well, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, and I'll shoot you a text message, and we'll go from there.
Good deal. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, sir.